Thanks. So yes, what I want to do is to walk you through what is Quali Torque and what the platform provides. Then I want to share you the tight integration that we have with LocalStack, as it kind of follows the same principles that we been preaching for quite some time about cost awareness, about how to be more efficient and streamlined, and kind of reduce the bottleneck of waiting for your infrastructure. So that is essentially kind of aligned to everything that we're preaching. Obviously, doing it in a secure manner. So yeah. So what I want to talk to you about today is first the platform, giving a high-level overview of what value it provides, how you can look at it and approach it, as it simplify the experience of deploying infrastructure on any cloud and any target in a very efficient and streamlined and safe way, right? So when you look at when you approach platform engineering, right, you would like to provide the ability to, I would say, open the end users to consume infrastructure in an efficient way, in a scalable way, right? So you need this engine that helps you deploy your infrastructure as code, to observe all the resources being created, later on to provide a governed self-service to end users, so nothing would be in the way and everything would be on the right guardrails, and later on the option to operate on top from day one to day end when you decommission that infrastructure. And when you look at Torque, you can maybe look at it in this 1, 2, 3 steps of kind of a journey that you might go through. The first one is curate. And by curate, we mean you have probably a bunch of IAC lying around, right? From Terraform to CloudFormation to Helm. That being said, those needs to be obviously consumed by end users. So the first step that you would like to do is kind of consume them and curate them into kind of an inventory of all the automation available in your organization, regardless of where they are right now. They can be cross repositories or a single one. And also, you would like to tap into those cloud vendors and to basically understand which resources are being provisioned and alive, and to make sure that they are consistent with the right tagging and also based on automation, right? And obviously Torque in that process gives you that visibility of whether that is consistent and codified or not. And if not, you can import them, codify them into that inventory piece that you will see in a minute. Right. So straight after doing the inventory, what you would like to do is to provide a very intuitive self-service to those automation pieces. Right. So this is where a bunch of I would say tools that Torque has in place, from blueprint creation to a self-service catalog and to intuitive view of how do you consume infrastructure comes into play. We will see an example of that today as well. And lastly, once you have provisioned an environment that consists of cloud resources and maybe your application in it, how do you operate on top, right? From a self-service aspect for, I would say, end users, like how do you get everything that you need from IDs, links, some day-to operations and actions, to whereas you're an admin, and you would like to have continuous update for that code deployed to those targets, reconcile drifts, maintain governance, and I would say policies, make sure that they're unchecked. So these are all kind of incorporated into what we called an environment. So I use the word environment, and I would like to maybe kind of just give a rough kind of understanding of what you get when you have an environment. So ideally, you would like to be able to pass input and output between different components very easily. You would like to be able to fix errors quickly. You would like to have some insights about the resources being spun up. You would like to provide automation on top, and you would like also to have kind of cost visibility on top of those resources being provisioned, and much more, right? So all of that is kind of incorporated within what we call environment in Torque. That by itself provide full consistency between all cloud resources being provisioned. You can spin up short-lived or long-lived environment to be able to reproduce issues or dev environments. You can also provide a way to scale in a sense that now we will check out Quali with LocalStack, and without changing anything from IAC perspective and code perspective, you will be able to deploy to different targets, and by that just scaling your operation to multi-cloud from local to the cloud. So that's great. And to tie a bow on it, everything is as code, so it can be be part of your day-to-day and in your IDE. So no need of consoles or anything of that sort. That's great also for developers, of course. Okay. What I want you to see, and you can switch now to my view, thank you for that. So I thought it would be refreshing to see a perspective of how a user interface might look like a nice web UI, or I have my kind of LocalStack desktop, because I've been watching those webinars, and many times it's kind of showing the console, like get pods, list dockers, etc. Show just the IDE piece, and I do have those ready for you, but what I wanted to do is to give you kind of a glimpse on how it might be, if you were to log into a web portal and kind of consume it from there. And as I said, everything is kind of API based and as code, so it's very easy to maintain kind of GitHub principles in order to do that. So let's get started. So what I want you to see is how I'm starting with my local repository, and I have this is my local repo. By the way, fun fact, my name is David Ben Shabat, so I'm going by an initial of DBS. So everyone knows me as DBS. Some don't know even that my name is David, but it is. And this is my kind of repo where I'm kind of doing a bunch of playground stuff. And I have a bunch of IAC here, like Terraforms. I don't even know. I don't keep track on it even. So I want you to now experience how Curate might look like for your flow and repos once you start with Torque. So you can go to settings. You can add a repository, and I'm gonna change that to ML repo just because this is what it is right now. I'm gonna choose the authentication method, and once you connect that repository, Torque should be able to scan and pick up those IAC. And as you can see, it discovered 50 new files. Few of them are Terraform, Ansible. Let's go check it out. So Curate starts with understanding where and what is your automation. So as you can see, I have here few repos connected, many IAC files. Some of them are in use in different environments. Some of them are part of blueprints already that kind of create a more interesting orchestration of many components. And the thing is, usually what you would like to do is to provision those resources. So that can be done really easily by just launching an environment like so. You can always go ahead and click that. You will get a nice dialog. Everything is as code. So all the things that you now see is being represented as YAML as well, that can be reconciled as an environment. You have a nice input for end users if you want to. You want to definitely kind of end up with a very, very nice and comprehensive self-service. And right now we're looking at a self-service on let's say an infra portal type of view, right? So it contains many kind of ad hoc resources that you can provision. What I think would be more interesting is once you want to connect more than one component into something more complete and meaningful and useful, instead of having to develop more and more code until you're getting to that sprawl that you're probably in right now, you can keep reusing the same component that you already have lying around, right? So for example, the KMS key that you have written that provides you with a certificate, and the S3 bucket that you have kind of lying around already and figured out. How do you connect those two together? So that can be done by creating blueprints. So let's check it out, like how a blueprint might be. So let's secure S3, for example, blueprint. So I have like an empty canvas here, and on the right, I have my existing building blocks that I can start adding. And if I have a problem or I don't find any building blocks that I already kind of own in terms of automation, I can always go and add few building blocks that Torque provides from the community. So you can go to AWS and kind of go pick whatever necessary missing piece that you need. You can always put that in your Git and own it. But this is kind of a nice way of listing all your building blocks. Now, as I mentioned, you can always start by dragging and dropping like the automation pieces, but you can also decide to go with the Copilot that Torque has that offers kind of a more kind of agentic experience of just use natural language, describe what you want, and Torque will create that for you. So when I go here and I would say, for example, create S3 bucket with KMS key. Oops. Yeah. And the demo guys are with me, obviously. So what should be generated is two building blocks that looks something like that, which is nice. Okay, this is exactly what we wanted. What I wanted is to reuse the component that I already have to complete that, let's say, input and output between the two. I can later on, obviously, go into the settings and even kind of expose the different variables to my end users. So once I save it like that, and I will maybe create a different name, but Secure S3 is probably right for me right now. I'm going to publish it as a self-service catalog. So from that blueprint and orchestration, dependent on Terraforms, I will end up with a nice catalog item like that. When I launch it, and this is where it gets really interesting. So right now I'm relying on my code that deploys an AWS S3 bucket using Terraform. But, and I will give it a name, for example, LocalStack demo 1, and I give it a prefix like a DBS, and the region might be US East. And now I can choose an agent. And this is where the magic of the integration actually lies, because with zero effort and code changes, you can deploy it either on an AWS targets or locally on your environment. Agent can run and deploy and live on edge, on anywhere in the cloud, on a VM. It doesn't really matter. And once it's there, it can actually interact with the different component servers and provision whatever necessary. So I'm going to choose LocalStack, and I'm going to go and launch that environment. So as a developer, with few clicks, I'm now able to deploy a KMS key with an S3 bucket. Let's see how it goes. So we have the logs on the right, that should feel familiar as we're provisioning in a Terraform, right? So for an operator, it's kind of important to see those familiar logs. We also see that as part of that environment, and I'm now an admin, I see many options, like, for example, updates, meaning I will track all the code changes from Git that I'm doing, and I can roll them safely. I can check for drift. I can use some automation, data automation on top. I can reconcile, if needed, any problems. But what I want you to see is, once I go here to my local stack and I'm connected right now to my server, right now I don't have any S3 buckets, but once that will be done, I will be able to check out. So, the resources being created right now, I'm seeing that it's actually generating the right ARN based on local stack that I wanted, etc. So that's good. So we're just gonna wait for a few more seconds and kind of see the result, which gonna be an S3 bucket with my code in it, which is kind of a web game that I'm being deployed, and that's provide you with a secure connection to an S3 bucket, and now you fully emulated it locally using LocalStack. So let's check it out. Here is my DBS LocalStack demo. I can go inside. I can see that I've uploaded some web page, and I definitely want to download it right now. Let's download it, and let's check it out. Yep, this is my web game, and it's hosted on LocalStack. So that's pretty amazing. And the good part is, once I want to move that to production or to staging, the only thing that I need to do is to change that agent to be the target that I want, and that will take care of the rest. So with that said, I think that this kind of explained the end-to-end from how do you connect existing IACs, Terraforms, etc. How do you create blueprints very easily by just dragging and dropping those components, connecting them together. You can use the Copilot kind of natural language to do that. And later on, how you can basically kind of deploy it and then operate on top. So I'm going to leave room now for questions.